SME first go to make the initial contact about doing business with a larger organization? I know we've touched on this, like you said, what's the opportunity, Tony, and so forth, but Colin, Tony, when you do decide, okay, this is the organization, is there anybody in particular? Is it like the communications person? Is it engineering? Where do you go into a large organization once you know you've targeted?
I mean, a lot of different companies are very different, and you know, the canned response would be, you know, the business development manager or sales manager or so on. I think an excellent person to go and see in large companies when you're trying to do business is the controller, especially moving into our economic times of today. You know, the controller in a large company is essentially your MapQuest to that company. He will know of divisions, like was talked about before. He will know of divisions that they may be downsizing. He will know of divisions that are either profitable and need assistance on. He may know divisions of the company that are less profitable, but you know, he will be able to guide you essentially to a service area, if you will, that company may have a need, either because they're busy, possibly because they've now downsized that group, and they may have lost 80% of their business in that area, and they may have downsized accordingly, but they still have 20% of that business that they now need to do. And we've seen that actually in the last 6 months, where larger companies that we deal with have downsized in certain areas because they're today doing 40% of the business that they did last year. But the reality is they're still doing 40% of that business. In most cases, their lever has been to lay off staff, and now they have to find a solution to still sell that 40% of their business to the market. So beyond just your standard sales manager, business development manager, or whatever, controller is an excellent asset. He's not going to give you the business, but you can likely get a meeting, and he can help guide you in a large corporation. So
very good, interesting one, Tony.
I echo Colin's sentiments there in terms of approaching the finance department. But one of the strategies that I really like, one of the approaches that I've used in going after large enterprise accounts from a telecom services perspective, although I think it could work in other industries, is identify a part of the country or a part of the organization, so it could be geographic or it could be a division or segment that is not performing well, and approach that. So I'll take the example of a bank. If there's a bank and there's a particular province that it's not doing well, we sell telecom services, so maybe I approach a branch office in Halifax of the Scotiabank, as an example, and try to sell that branch manager. So now I'm really doing an SME to SME sale, and try to make it like that, and sell a savings opportunity. Now, in many cases, these decisions are mandated by corporate that come down from the top down, so you may not have the opportunity for the particular service you're selling. But if that is an avenue you can approach, and sometimes you'll find not a renegade manager, but a manager who says, you know what, I'm responsible for a P&L here, and I'm running a $5 million business inside a $2 billion organization, and I want to save $5,000 a year. It matters to my P&L, and that's where you can get in, and then it's very much a Trojan horse strategy where you can start to just diversify inside that organization and make sure that the process that you're going through isn't stepping on anyone's toes up the chain, because obviously you don't want to get yourself into a political problem in the organization and get your solution killed. But I really like the idea of taking a step-by-step approach and growing the relationship, biting off what you can chew and delivering all on it and growing from there.
Rick?
Another approach that may be more empowering for a lot of entrepreneurs is to identify what industry you want to get into, who the companies are, who the people are, and then, well, the word stalking, it's acquired some unsavory aspects. But to surround and swarm some of these people is not a bad thing. There are places to meet them in industry conventions and conferences and associations. The Chamber of Commerce events like this, a lot of people were swarming in this crowd here. And that way you get to know people, exchange business cards, send them an article about what you're doing or something, and basically build a relationship before you try and sell anything to them. Because when you suddenly go up and you want to sell, then you get compartmentalized as, okay, he's a vendor, and we'll put him through the process. But if you know these people already, if you've done your homework, if you've nurtured that relationship along, then you have a much better chance of being heard and at least getting a referral within the organization to the right people you need to know. So this isn't something you should hasten along, but it's it's a relationship building exercise. And again, a lot of people are sort of impatient and not good at doing that, but it's the best way.